Good morning everybody, I am Anusha of CSA Department, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. In today's video, we will be discussing about control flow statement, jump statements, type conversion and casting. So, in the previous video, we have seen about data types and its scope and lifetime of variables and various operators and its use. Now, let's move on to today's video, wherein we will be discussing about control flow statements. So, what are control flow statements? So, these are those statements which will take the execution control from one point to another. There are two types of control statements, wherein one is the Java selection statement and the other is iteration statement. So, under selection statements, we have if blocks, the nested if else ladder, switch statements and nested switch statements, and in under iteration, we have for loop, while loop, do while loop and for each loop. This is a special type of for loop which is available in Java. So now, how does if else work? So if we have, let's say we want to check some condition. So if we use this if else use to if we want a set of block or a set of code to be executed, a block of code to be executed only if the condition is true. So for a particular condition, when a particular condition is true, we have to execute a set of statements, and if the condition is false, then we have to move on to another set of statements. In such cases, we use these if else blocks. Okay, so this is the basic syntax of if block. This is the syntax of if block. If followed by the expressions, and if this expression becomes true, then this set of codes will be executed. So if say we have C is equal to 0, if C greater than 10, then print C. We have to print C, else we'll print something else. Okay, so if this is the statement, so initially our C was 0. So what it does, it will check this condition. If this condition is coming out to be true, then it will come down to this part. It will execute this part. Else, if this condition was false, it will come to this part. Now, in this case, we don't have the else part. So what happens if it doesn't have the else part? So this body will be skipped and the control will come over here, and whatever statements is available at this point, those set of statements will be executed. So this is a normal if block, and if else block will have the if part and the else part, the if block and the else block. So if the condition, if the expression turns out that it comes to true, then the if block statements will be executed, and if the expression is false, then this set of statements will be executed. Now this is a multi if else ladder. So what happens here? If this expression is true, these statements will be executed. If this statement is false, then it will check with this statement. If this statement is true, this part will be executed, or else again it will check. It will skip this part and come to this point. So if this, it will check again whether this is true or not. If this is true, it will execute this part. So it goes like a ladder. And if all these conditions becomes false, then it will come to the else part, and whatever is written over here, whatever code is written over here, that will be executed. So this is the if else ladder. So here we have an example. So here what happens, we have the if else block. Here x is initialized to 10. So this is a normal if block. We don't have the else body for that. So when if x is equal to 10, we are printing x is 10. So we will get the output x is 10. Now in the second case, we have x is already 10. So this statement will be true. So if this statement is true, so it will again print x is 10. Now in this case, we have initialized x to 12. So x value is 12. So what happens here? It will check whether x is equal to 10. This statement is true or not. But this statement is false. So it will skip this part, and it will come over here. It will check whether x is greater than 10. So now at this point x is greater than 10. So x value was 12. X is 12. So x is greater than 10. So this statement will be executed. So you will get x is greater than 10. Now in case x value was 9, then what will happen? This statement will fail. This will fail. This statement also will fail. But this statement will come out true and it will print x is less than 10. So this is the working of if-else ladder. Another type of control statement is switch case, wherein you will have a particular control variable to check, and based on that variable's value, a particular case will be executed. So here we have the switch, and this is the syntax wherein you have a switch and a variable. So this expression or this value will be checked initially. So if the case which is matching to this value or this statement will be executed. So for example, let's say we have a variable value as 0, and this is case 0, case 1 and default. So what will it do? It will check whether this value 0 is matching to any of these cases. So first it will compare it with this. So it found that they two are matching. So this set of statements will get executed. Now, one point to be noted is that we should place a break statement after each case, at the end of each case. Or else what will happen is that the set of statements following that case will be executed. Say for example, let's move on to the program. Here we have what we are having two variables ch and c. C is initialized to 1. So C is the switch variable. C is being ch is the switch variable. Okay. Now C is used to loop up these statements. We have to loop these statements. So here in this example, we are trying to implement a calculator, okay, which will perform addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and modulo. So we have to get these set of statements looped, executed multiple times. So for that, we are using this while loop. We'll look into detail in the next session. So here we are reading two variables A and B. Okay, we are reading two variables through keyboard A and B, and then this part is being printed. So what will you get? We'll get it menu. For one is add, 2 is subtract, 3 is multiply, 4 is divide, 5 is modulo, and we are told to choose one. So depending on so we can give one of these numbers. So depending on that, it will be read into ch. Okay, it will be, that value will be read into ch. So you have to make a choice and that value will be read. Okay. So that value, let's say we want to take, we had 4 cases, 5 cases, and case 1 was added. So let's say we are taking case 1. So what will we give? We'll give 1 into 1. Choose 1. When it asks make your choice, we will give 1. So ch will be 1. So now ch is the switch variable. So based on the ch value, particular case will be, whatever case is matching to the ch will be executed. So here in our case, ch value was 1. So case 1 will be executed. Case 1 will be executed here. So it will perform what? Addition of two numbers. So let's say A was 5 and B was 5 again. So A plus B, we get it as D into D. We are storing A plus B, which is which is A plus B 10. Okay, so we get it as 10. So now in case we give this value as 2. So what will happen if the value given was 2? It will come over this point. It will check with this. that they both are not matching, so it will ignore that. It will come to 2. So it is matching with 2. It will perform the difference. So D will be 0 and that value will be printed. Okay. So similarly, depending on the case which we have read here, depending on these values, whichever value is being taken, depending on that value, it will be executed. Now, if we don't give this break statement, what happens in case we have chosen, let's say we have chosen addition. So, if this break was not given, then after printing the value 10, it will execute this part, until it find a break. So, this is how switch will execute. Okay. So, this is a program. We have a class named switch2 and 2 variables, one for switch and one for while. And then we are taking 3 integer variables to perform the operation. So we have addition, multiplication, subtraction, multiplication, division and modulo operation. Now we have to choose one of these and make a choice. So when we make the choice, that will be read into CH. So the value will be read into CH. So let's say we are reading 2. So if we are reading 2, what will happen? It will when we are taking the choice as 2, 2 is for subtraction. So what will see into CH? 2 will be read into CH. 2 is read, and that is compared with all these break statements. So here, the first case is 1. It is not matching. So this will be ignored. This will be ignored, and we have the second case matching. So it performs this block. It will perform this block. Now let's see the execution of it. So we are told to enter 2 variables. Let's say we are entering 3 and 4. Now we got the menu. So of this menu, we have to read the make one of our choice. So let's say we'll take 4. Let's say 3. So what is 3? 3 is multiplication. So what should be the output? 3 into 4. So we got 3 into 4 as 12. Now if you want to continue this, we have to press 1. So when 1 is pressed, again you get the same menu, right? Now let's say we are making the choice as 5. So so 3 mod 4 will be 3 itself. Now if you don't want to continue, then we have to press any other key other than 1. So when you press 2, it will exit the loop. Okay. Now let's see what will happen if we don't use break statement. So what I told is, if we don't use break statement, once that case is executed, it will continue the cases which is following it. So here we have, let's say we are not using break statement here and here. So when we execute, let's say we have to perform 3 and 4. We want to add it. So see what happened. We are getting the output until that break statement was found. So here, so see here, what happened is, once we read our choice 1, the matching case was first case. So it will execute this part. You get 3 plus 4 as 7. But there is no break statement over here. So since there is no break statement, it will continue with the next case. So what is next case? It is 3 minus 4. You got minus 11. Here also you don't have break. So it will come to the next line again, next case again. And it will come down to, it will come down to this part, and it will multiply and find the product. But at this point you have the break statement. So it will stop over there. It will stop, exit from that point. It will exit the switch case from that, and whatever statement is left, whatever statement is to be executed here, this part will be shown there. Okay, so this is how it works. And now we have this default block. This default block will be executed when the switch variable is not matching any of these. any of these cases. So let's see an example. So let's say we know to find, and we gave the choice as 6. So it will ask you to print. It has gone into the it has gone to the default case. So we get the output, enter the proper choice. So when we gave 6, it is not matching with any of these. It is not matching with any of these. So it will go into the default block and print whatever is given over there. So here we are told to print, enter the proper choice. So it will display that and ask you to continue. So this is about switch statements. Now, how does switch differs from if? So what does switch do? It will look for a match between the value of expression and one of the case constants. And here in switch case, you cannot have two case constants which is having the same value. And also it is told that switch statement is much efficient than nested if. So this is it is a better when you have multiple conditions to be checked, we'll go with the switch statement. Next is iteration statements, which are while loop. So we have while loop, do while loop, for loop, and for each loop. So these are the different looping statements available in Java. So here we have this is the syntax for while. So what we'll have while condition and set of block to be executed if this condition is true. So for any looping statements, you should have an initial iterator variable which should be initialized, and this iterator variable will be used to loop in within that loop. Okay, so let's say that iterator variable should be always initialized before the use. Okay, it should be initialized, and there should be an increment or decrement operator which on this iterator variable, so that this condition will fail at some point of time, or else if that condition remains true always, then it will go into an indefinite loop. So it should always have an iterator variable which is initialized. Then you have the set of statements to be done, and then you have the increment or decrement part of the iterator variable. So this is an example for while loop. So here we have let's say we have I equal to 1. We are in this. So here I is the iterator variable. We are using i's variable inside while. So that is the iterator variable. So we have, this is the initialization part and this is the incrementing part. So we have initialized I to 1. Then we are checking whether I value is less than or equal to 10. So I is initially 1. So I value is printed. Now what happens? It comes over here. I's value is incremented. I value become 2 now. So again, 2 less than or equal to 10. True. The statement is true. It will come inside. It will print that value. So I is 2 now. Again, I plus plus. I is 3 now. I is 3. 3 less than 10. 3 is less than 10. 3 is less than 10. True. So I value will be printed. I is printed 3. Then I plus plus I becomes 4. Like this, it will continue until I reach value 10. So when I reach value 10, what happens? When I reach value 10, 10 is equal to less than or equal to 10. True. This statement is also true. So it will print the value 10. Now again, I plus plus. So I becomes 11 now. When I becomes 11 less than or equal to 10. So this condition fails. The statement fails. So when the statement fails, it comes out of this loop. It comes out of this loop, and whatever statements follows this loop, that will be executed. So after that, since we don't have any statement, it will be executed. So whatever statement follows the while loop will be executed once the condition of the while statement fails. Next is do while. So here in do while, it is similar to while loop. So, but in while loop, it is an it is an entry checked at the time of entry the condition is being checked, but in do while loop the condition will be checked at the point of exit. So, and in do while loop the set we have this set of statements. The set of statements will be executed at least once. The statements inside the do block will be executed at least once. So after this do block is executed, the statements are executed, it will check for the condition. So let's say we have do print. So let's move on to the do while loop. So we are having a class. Here we have initialized the iterator variable is I. Then we have the do while loop. So inside the do block we have these two statements. We are printing the value of I and then this value. So and then we are incrementing I, the iterator variable. So until when it will execute, when I starts I equal to 1 to 5, this statement will be executed. So initially I value was 1. So as I have told you, do while loop, the statements inside do block will be executed at least once. So definitely this statement will be executed. So what will we get? We get I value is 1 here. So 1, we are in do while loop. So this statement got executed. Then I value is incremented. So I value become 2 now. When I value is 2, now it is coming out of the do block. So it will check whether I is less than 5. So is 2 less than 5? Yes, the condition is true. It will come back to do block. It will print this statement. So we are in do while loop 2. We are in do while loop. So the second statement will be printed. Now again I value is plus. I incremented. So I value become 3. 3 is again less than 5. True. Again it will this condition is true. It will come here. It will print these 2 lines. It will print this line and you get the third line. I plus plus I becomes 4. I is less than 5. Again correct. It is true. It comes here. Again print the statement. Now I value is 5. At this point, while 5 less than 5. So the statement becomes false. 5 is not less than. The statement is false. So it will stop there. It will stop the execution there and it will print this line test done. So this is the working of do while loop. So when you compare do while and while loop, while is an entry controlled loop, whereas do while loop is an exit control loop. So the statements inside the do block will be definitely executed at least once, irrespective of the statement being true or false. And once this condition fails, until this condition fails, the statement inside the do block will be executed. And once the condition fails, whatever statement comes after the do block will be executed. After the do block, it will be executed. So this is about do while loop. Next we have the for loop. So inside this is the syntax for the for loop. We have the initialization part, the condition checking part and the increment or decrement operation. So once this condition is true, the set of code will be executed. This is another looping statement in Java, for loop. So we have in for loop, the for loop part contains 3 parts: initialize, condition and increment. These 3 things were available in the it will be available in every looping part, but in for loop and while loop this initialization part was not included within the while loop or the do while. It was outside that, but here in for loop it will be included within the for statement. So we have the initialization part, the condition and the increment or the decrement part. Also, the for loop can have the initialization and the increment part can have multiple parts of the for loop can have multiple variables. Okay, so here in this example we have 2 iterator variable A and B, wherein A is initialized to 1 and B is initialized to 4. We can have multiple condition statements also here, which is separated by the bitwise Boolean operators, and also there are multiple increment and decrement operators. So this initialization and this part can have multiple statements which separated by comma. And also you can have the for loop part without the initialization and the increment part outside the for loop body, outside the for loop statement. So here we have the initialization done here and the increment part is done over here. So let's look into the example. So this is the for loop with 3 initialization. So this is the for loop with 3 initialization part. We are having a variable a initialized to 1, b initialized to 8 and c initialized to 5. 2 conditional statements which is combined with an AND operator, and you have multiple decrement and increment operations. So here initially A's value was 1. A is 1, B is 8 and C is 5. So it is checking whether A is less than B. So 1 is less than 8. This is true, and A is less than C. 1 is less than 5. This is also true. So since these two statements are true, this condition together will become true. The condition together is true. So it will come inside the for loop body. So it will print the value of A8, B8, A1, B8 and C5. This value will be printed. Now what will happen? A is incremented. So A becomes what? A becomes 2. B is decremented. B becomes 7. C is also decremented. C is 4 now. So now what is the condition to be checked? A is less than B. 2 is less than 7. 2 is less than 7. This is true. And A is less than C. So 2 is less than 4. This is also true. So together this condition is true. So it will again come inside the loop. So A value will be printed. A value is printed as 2. B value printed as 7. And C value will be printed as 4. So B value is printed as 4. Now, in the next iteration, what happens? A is plus plus. So A becomes 3. A is 3. B is 6 and C is 3. So A is less than C. What is 3 is less than C? 3 is less than 3. This is false. And A is less than B. What is A? 2 is less than 7. First it has checking A is less than B. So 2 is less than 7. This is true. And 2 is less than, sorry, it's not, sorry, it is not. Third case, A is 3. 3 is less than 3 and 3 is less than 3 and 3 is not. 3 is less than 6 and 3 is less than 3. A's value is 3 and C's value is 3. So this is true, but this is false. So together this becomes false. So it will exit the for loop. So the control will come here. So that is why after this we don't have any output. So the for loop can have, it may be lying individually or it can have multiple initialization and decrement control operations. Along with it may have multiple conditional checking statements also, which must be combined with the Boolean operators. Next we have jump statements. So in Java there are 3 types of jump statements. They are break, continue and return statement. The break statement is used to come out of a loop. Mainly it will be it is used inside the loop, and if we want to come outside the loop we use break statements. And also we have seen the break statement usage in switch cases. Okay, so what happens when a break when a break statement is encountered inside any block, then the control will come out of that block. Okay. So this is the example of break statement, use of break statement inside a for loop. So what happens is we have the iterator variable initialized to 0 and you are looping it till 100. So I value will range from 0 to 100. Now, what we are doing, we are at the point when it reaches 10, we are telling it to break. So it will print from 0 to 10 and it will stop. It won't execute after that. So when since let's see how it will work. So initially I value was 0. I value was 0. I value is 0. So i's value is 0. Okay. Then so when I value is 0, this statement it is checking whether it is true or not. So I is equal to 10. No, I is not equal to 10. So this part will be skipped. It will print this value 0. I value will be printed. Next, it has encountered the for loop closer. So the control will come here. I plus plus. I will be incremented. So I value will be 1 now. I is 1 now. So again it will check whether I is equal to 10. No, I is not equal to 10. So the statements will be skipped. And then it will come over here. At this point, I values 1 will be printed. Now again for loop enclosure, it will come here. I plus plus. I is 2 now. This if statement fails, it will come down here. I value 2 will be printed. Likewise, it will continue until I is 10. So when I reaches 10, I is 10 now. I is 10. I is equal to 10. Yes, I is equal to 10. So that condition is true. It will come inside. So it will print break from loop. When I value is 10, it will print break from loop. Break from loop. And when I is equal to 10. So this statement will be printed and it will come out of the loop. And then it will print the statement print loop complete. So this is the usage of break statement. So whenever a break statement is encountered inside the loop, it will come, the execution part will come, the control of execution will come outside that particular loop. So here it will reach at this point. So let's look into the example. So here we have the example of a break statement. As we have seen before, we have I value is initialized to 0 and I value is ranging from 0 to 100. So when I value is 10, it is told to come out, stop and come out of the loop. So when I value is 0, the statement is false. So it skip this part, skip the if block and print this statement. So you get I is 0. So until I becomes 10, these statements will be, this if block will be skipped. Now when I equal to 10, it became true. So it is coming to, it is telling to execute from the break loop. It is printing the value break from the loop when I is equal to 10. And so, and after that it will break from that state, from that block, and the control is coming to this point and it is printing loop complete. So break is used to come out of a block, okay, mainly a loop. Next we have the continue statement. So continue statement is mainly used to move from one point, move to the start of the loop, or to the this point of the loop. So that is why where we use continue statement. So in our example, we have the iterator variable I initialized to 0, and if it is an even number, you are told to continue, or if it is an odd number, you have you will be printing this line. Okay, so here in I is going from 0 to 10. So initially I value is 0. I value 0, we come inside the loop, we print I is 0. So when I is 0, we print that value 0, we put a space, and then we check whether I is divisible by, is even or odd. So it is divisible by 0. So since it is divisible, we will continue. So once you execute the statement continue, the control will come at this point. That is why this statement is not executed when the value of I is 0. That is why after 0, we don't get the statement after continue. Now I value is 1. So when I value is 1, I value is printed. I mod 2 is 0. No, I mod 2 is not 0. It is odd number. So it will skip the continue part. It will skip this block. If block will be skipped, since the condition is failing, and it will print the statement after printing I. So after 1, you get the statement after continue. Now again loop encountered. So I is incremented. I becomes 2 now. Again I value will be printed. 2 is printed. Then if block is checked, so I mod 2 is 0. So 2 mod 2 is 0. So it will execute continue. So the statement will be skipped and it will come over this point again. It will increment I. It will increment I and it will print the value of I. So now when I is incremented, I value is 3. So you get 3 here. But this fails. Right? So this fails. So it will come here. It will print after continue. Likewise, it will continue until 9. So up to 9, when a condition, when I value is 9 means I value is 9. I mod 0 is I mod 2 is 0. Sorry, I mod 9 mod 2 is not true. So it will print the statement and this output is obtained. Now I value becomes 10. When I value is 10, this condition fails. For I less than 10, it fails. So it will come out of the for loop. It will come out of the for loop and whatever statement, if any statements are available here, that will be executed. The next type of jump statement is return. So this return statement is used when we go with functions or methods. So we may have a function to add two numbers and return that value. So the same example is being checked in here. So here we have a method named as sum. So we have a method named as sum, which is taking two values C and D, which is being passed from the main method. Those two values are taken into C and D and they are added and that value is returned back to main. So A's value is 5 and B's value is 4. And we are using a variable named C, which is used to store the result, which is returned from the sum. So then we are calling sum. We are passing those two parameters A and B to sum. So when you encounter this line, at this line, the control will go to this point. It will go to this point and A value 5 will be stored into C and B value will be stored into D. 4 will be stored into D. Then E is calculated to be sum of these two numbers and then it is returned. So once it encounters return, the control from this method sum will be taken back to the main method and whatever value. So for 4 plus 5 is 9. That value 9 will be returned to C. So that value will be stored into C and that sum is displayed over here. So this is the output which we get. So these are the three jump statements used in Java: the break statement, the return statement and the continue statement. The break statement is used to take the control out of any loop. Continue statement is used to take the control to the start or the increment part of the loop, and return statement will take the control from one method to another. So these are the three types of statements which we use in jump statements which we use in Java. So in today's class, we have discussed about control flow statements and jump statements. With this, we comes to the end of this session. We'll continue with the next session, other topics in the next session. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.